He's, at a very young age, he's been able to manage both the businesses of the company. I still remember I met him about almost 7, 8 years back, and he still looks the same. So I'm going to ask him after this session how he gets to do that. So a little about Seth MR Jaipuria Schools. They seek to provide access to high quality education at a national scale through K12 schools. It's been constantly ranked as among top 100 schools in India. And in last 5 years, Jaipuria schools have expanded to about 20 campuses. So in all, Jaipuria today has about 34 campuses which are operational and 6 more to come, which makes its strength to about 40 schools all across India. Jaipuria Institute of Management is a chain of premier business school offering PG diploma in management programs with campuses in Lucknow, Noida, Jaipur, and Indore as well. 3 of these campuses has been ranked among the top 75 business schools in India. And currently, they have about close to 20,000 students and about 1,000 plus teachers associated with them. He is also an executive director for Guinea International, a textile company specializing in denim fabrics with a revenue of INR 5 billion. Little about him, he's a graduate with highest honors with the prestigious Stern School of Business, New York University. He also has got a chance to meet Mr. Buffet, Warren Buffet, amongst one of his school programs, and I envy you onto that. But nevertheless, it's very good to have you here on our platform. And we are very eager to learn about the business opportunity. We also have with us Mr. Vineet Shukla, who looks after the business expansions for Jaipuria Schools now. And I would request Vineet to take us through the opportunity so that we can get down to solving our queries onto it.
Hello, very warm welcome to all of you. And thank you, Ashita. I'll start sharing the presentation just a moment. Just start off. Just a second. Screen sharing is disabled. I'll need to have that enabled.
I think the admin needs to share his screen, please.
Yeah, it's screen sharing is disabled.
Okay. In the meantime, I will just cue the admin for that.
Oh, yeah,
in the meantime, you can tell us a bit about Jaipuria Schools. How did it start? I mean, what was the idea behind getting into education from textiles? They're 2 different industries.
So I'll take that question, Ashita. Yeah. I'll take that question. Okay. So thank you, first of all, for inviting me here to talk about the school opportunity. Our family has had a long history of being in education. We've been in education since 1945, when my great-grandfather set up a college in Calcutta, which still runs today, which is called Jaipuria College. Since then, we've opened schools and colleges across the country. Really 7, 8 years ago, probably the first time when I met you as well, we started thinking about how we can take our schools to smaller cities because we saw that there is an opportunity to tie up with local players who have the business acumen as well as the financial acumen of setting up a school, and whereby we felt a need that in smaller cities, there is a need for a pedagogical change, the way education is happening, for that to be able to, really change, because we saw a lot of students from good families as well as middle class families in smaller cities and their young kids, outside to larger cities for primary and secondary education. We felt that really it is possible to bring a change there. And the reason we see that, this is important is that it's easy to set up a school building and to have modern architecture, but eventually the in-class experience for a student must change. We know that in the 21st century, and it's sort of exemplified by the COVID epidemic, that the world is changing so quickly, and we can't even imagine what kind of jobs there will be, how we would be expected to respond to crises. And for that, the way education is being taught needs to be fundamentally changed from a pre-primary level. Our whole concept is that our whole idea is that a child should be involved in the teaching learning process so that they learn to become problem solvers. The industrial age whereby a person has to do only as he is told or she is told is over, and we need people to be able to in the economy are able to innovate, who are able to adapt, and that's the kind of education that we need to provide. And that's why we created a curriculum, a team that supports that sort of curriculum. And that's the reason for our success in school franchising as well.
Yeah, no, great. That's a good cause. And our country needs, education at the ground level, at the ground roots. So I think that's very interesting what you're doing in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So Vineet, you can share the presentation now. I think it's been enabled.
Sure. It's there on your screens?
Yes, you can start.
Sure. So I'll briefly start with the what the group is all about, very briefly. The Jaipuria group has basically three verticals: textile, power, and education. Within the textile vertical, we have Guinea International Limited, which is basically a manufacturing company, manufacturing yarn and denim fabric. Under the energy sector, we have Guinea Global Limited, which is engaged in producing power, and we are currently having a project in Himachal Pradesh, which is of 10 megawatt capacity. Coming to the education vertical, as you were mentioning, that we have our institutes of higher learning offering PGDM. So there are two sub verticals within the education vertical: the institutes offering PGDM and the K12 schools. So the institute, the first one started way back in 1995 in Lucknow, and since then we have grown to 4 institutes with Noida, Jaipur, and Indore being the other 3. Coming to the schools, these are some of the facts and figures of institutes. 10,000 plus alumni. We have a student pool of almost 2,000 plus students. 350 plus recruiters come to our campuses, 110 plus faculty resources, and we are ranked among the top 75 B schools in India currently. Coming to the K12 sector, the schools division. First school of Jaipuria was set up in Lucknow in 1992. This was in the memory of late Seth MR Jaipuria, who was conferred Padma Bhushan in 1971 by the President of India. Since then, the school has actually been a trailblazer in both scholastic and non-scholastic pursuits, and is currently ranked number 2 in UP. Once we had our own school and the school was settled and we had the wherewithal and experience of running schools properly, we decided to venture into the arena of franchising. And the franchising part started in 2014. And the basic idea was to be in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, as we were just mentioning a little while back, that these are the cities where quality education is not there. I mean, the kind of schools which are there at present are more or less rudimentary. And there's a huge gap and a demand which exists for quality good schools. So this was started way back in 2014, and this is ably supported by our 2 corporate offices. One happens to be in Delhi, the other one is in Lucknow, and we have teams in both these offices. And the teams are servicing all the schools that we have under our umbrella. The idea now is we're currently at 34 schools with almost 30,000 enrolled students. And the vision is to be at 50 schools by 2022 with 50,000 plus enrolled students. And I think we are on our way to achieve that in a very comfortable way. This is basically a graphical representation of our school journey. I mean, starting from 2014 to where we are right now. So we have grown over the years, and it's a very heartening fact that people who have been associated with us, the school owners and all other parents and students, they have been extremely happy. The feedback has been extremely positive. So that's a very heartening fact for us. Ideas now, when we talk to a lot of investors, in meetings or in forums or wherever, they usually ask, why tier 2, why tier 3? Everybody actually looks at tier 1, big cities like Gurgaon and Noida and a couple of them. But our answer to them is that, this is where the demand exists. This is where there is a need, tier 2 and tier 3. I mean, if you look at the kind of people who are there, the people they have aspirational value. They want their kids to go to the best of the schools. But if you look at the cities and they look at the current schools which are there, there's a huge gap. The quality is not there. The kind of teachers, the ideal teachers, the quality teachers, they are not there. So this is where we come in, and this is where we sort of plug the gap. And in fact, this is also borne by the facts and figures. If you look at the slide, the projection is that we need to have 373 million students by year 2022 who will be enrolled. And there would be additional 130,000 schools required to cater to this huge number of students. So there's a huge, huge gap there. And most of it exists in tier 2 and tier 3. Next question which comes up usually is, okay, fine, schools are fine. We know there's a demand. We know there's a gap. Quality is required in tier 2 and tier 3. But why specifically Seth MR Jaipuria Schools? So, our answer to that is that yes, Seth MR Jaipuria Schools, why not? Because we have some very strong differentiators which differentiate us from all other schools. Now, I can briefly take you through those set of differentiators. The first one being academics. I think academics is the bedrock, the foundation of any good school. I mean, if a school is not good in academics, then there's a question mark. There's a big question mark. We have a 30-member team back in our corporate office, which are helping all our schools achieve academic excellence. I mean, it's very difficult to quantify the amount of hard work that they're doing day in and day out. But still, in terms of some of the figures, that is, we have more than 200,000 pages of teaching learning material, more than 100,000 skill-based worksheets, lesson plans, they go up to 15,000 daily, 80 plus academic planners. So all this is, it tells you about the volume and the amount of hard work that is actually going in on a daily basis to ensure that all our schools, all our franchise schools, they get the best of quality at a continuous level. Next to academics, the most important thing is the quality of the teachers. Academics, yes, that can be managed from the corporate office, yes. But what happens to the teachers who are actually interacting with the students at the school level, and they are also interacting with the parents? Now, if the quality of those teachers is not up to the mark, then all the hard work that has been going in, it comes to a naught. So we have a very, very rigorous educators training schedule. We have off-site trainings and online trainings. We have 360 degrees audit and training workshops, parenting workshops are there, counseling sessions are there, centralized trainings are there. All this is to make sure that the quality of the teachers, the people who are actually interacting at the ground level with the students and the parents is top notch. Another thing that we focus on when we design a curriculum is a holistic development of the students. Now, holistic development would actually entail having life skills, visual arts, performing arts, different kind of labs where the students can, as per their curiosity and the motivation level, they can do experiment and they try and find out what exactly is happening. And this is backed by competent teachers who are always there to guide them and to motivate them to reach their goals. We also have 4 houses which are mentioned here: game changers, trailblazers, go-getters, and wave riders. The ethos and the of all these houses are different. So basically, it all ties up in a more holistic way of development of the children. So scholastic, post-scholastic. One big thing that really sets us apart from all of the schools is the inter-Jaipuria meets that we have. Now, these have been resounding success. We basically have 2 of them. The first one we call Crescendo. Now, Crescendo is an inter-Jaipuria cultural fest in which all 34 schools are participants. And in terms of the student participants, we have more than 1,000 of them with 20 plus cultural competitions. The second one happens to be Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the sports fest. Again, all 34 schools are participants, and student participants number more than 1,500 with more than 40 sporting competitions. So these are huge events, and they have been extremely successful over the years, and we want to make it, as we move on, we'll make them bigger still. One more thing that we have seen, is that a lot of people who join hands with us, they do not have an education background. They might be having some XYZ businesses, and they know how to construct a school, but they don't know how to sort of run it. So there we offer a 360-degree complete support to them. Now, what we mean by 360 degrees is that once we join hands, right from layouts, architectural layouts, to floor layouts, to erection of the building, to marketing communications, to recruitment, to everything, all that is being handled by a set of competent people back at the corporate office. So we have a project team which keeps guiding the school owners about what to do, what are the CBSE norms, and how the school building should be made. There are frequent visits to the site during the course of the construction. Then comes recruitment. Principal is very important facet of any school. So we for the entire duration of the agreement that we have with all these schools, we undertake the recruitment and selection of the principal, and we also help the school to recruit and train the teachers, the staff members. Moving forward, once the school is operational, the next big thing is to go for affiliation, either with CBSE or with ICSE. So we have a team, in-house team, which guides all these schools, what the norms are, where to take the NOCs from, how to make that file, how to do the submission in CBSE. All this is basically, the idea is to handhold the school and the owners so that they can actually focus on the growth of the school. All these tertiary things are being handled from the corporate office that we have here. Once the school becomes operational, then admissions have to take place. So there's a team which is looking at admissions, guiding the school into it. Marketing strategies are made, they're shared with the schools. Staff teacher training, we just mentioned about that, we discussed it. Social media, marketing, creatives are made from the head office. Those are shared with the schools. Technology, we are working on an ERP backbone. All our schools are on ERP mandatorily. Academic content planning, yes, of course, we held something on that. These are some of the examples of the creatives that we share. Of course, this is not the entire thing, but yes. So they would range from marketing to opening of schools to any specific events that the school might be having, or any holidays. It could be anything. It could be topical or anything that the school wants. All the creatives are made in-house and shared with the schools on a regular basis. Our hard work has paid off, and organizations have recognized that and awarded us. These are some of the awards that we have, and more than that, it's the positive word of mouth that we have in the market. The people actually understand the amount of hard work and that we are doing. Almost all our schools are very successful. Number of admissions that are happening are very healthy. One thing, I would like to share with you, this is because this was specifically for COVID. March and all the schools were preparing for the launch of new session, and suddenly there was a lockdown. So, that actually caught us unawares. We were not prepared for it. So, to ensure that, the classes are going on, we started off with online classes. Now, online classes were good in cities which were big, which did not have a bandwidth problem, or we did not have connectivity issues. But we also have a lot of schools which are in tier 3 or cities which are even smaller than tier 3. So there, the connectivity was a big issue. So what we did was we started making WhatsApp videos. These WhatsApp videos were made almost, we could make almost 500 videos in under 2 weeks. And then these were shared with all the schools. So on one hand, we were having online classes, but at the same time, we were also having these WhatsApp videos. Moving forward, once we did this, we also conducted our PTMs online, because of course, the school buildings are closed, but all these things have to happen. The school has to move on. So the PTM was conducted successfully in a lot of schools. One more thing that we realized was that, okay, fine, if the schools are closed, what is it that we can do to add value to the students during this intervening period that the schools are closed? So in this period, we have had tie-ups with partners like Torrens, F1, Ogly Skills, Logicwits. The idea was to let the skill and value addition be a continuous process. Let's not have this COVID, coming in the way of skill development or value addition. So this has been, the feedback has been very, very positive on all these things. In fact, the feedback has been so positive that the statement, our partner schools or people who are associated with us, they are happy with the services. Services are accepted, appreciated, and recommended. Now, this is not just a statement. The facts are there to back this up. And the fact is that 22 of our existing 34 schools have come up through referrals. This is a very, very morale boosting statement, because I mean, you refer only once you're happy with the services. And when we talk about 22 is almost 70%, I mean, close to 71%. 70% of our schools have come up through referrals from the existing schools. So this is very gratifying for us. And moving forward, we want to maintain this or even try and better this percentage. For people who are interested in joining hands with us, these are some of the requirements that we have to be a franchisee with Seth MR Jaipuria Schools. Land requirement ranges between 2.5 to 3.5 acres. First phase of investment ranges from 8 to 10 crores, excluding the cost of land. And the overall project cost may range from 14 to 18 crores, depending upon what city we are in and what location we are in. Returns are quite healthy and ranges between 26% to 33%. Payback period happens to be between 7 to 8 years. Now, these are the monetary aspects. But while talking to a lot of school owners, what we realized is that they're already engaged in some businesses and they're already fairly successful in their fields of life. The reason that they join, they want to come to K12 is basically to have recognition and respect in society, which only a school can provide. And this has been the case in a lot many cases. Also the fact that, school, if I were to use the word business, then school as a business is actually a recession-free business. I mean, because K12 education is now a primary need of people, be it big cities, small towns, villages, or wherever. So K12, a child has to go to a K12. Moving forward, the term of agreement for schools is for 30 years. The sign-up fees for non-metro cities is rupees 35 lakhs plus GST. For metro cities, it is 40 lakhs plus GST. And the royalty we have slabs. First 10 years, the next 10 years, then the last 10 years. First 10 years is 8% plus GST into gross revenue. Next 10 years, which is year 11 to year 20th, is 7%. It actually comes down by 1%. And the final slab, that's year 21 to year 30, that's 6%. A further 1% reduction, 6% plus GST on the gross revenue. Our promoters, Sharadji has been rock solid support. It was his vision that this division came up, and he's been supporting us throughout. And it's very nice that he's always there, always guiding us. Shreevats ji is our vice chairman, and Shreevats ji has been associated with the education division right from day one, both schools and PGDM institutes. And it is his energy level and the perseverance that we are where we are today. Thank you, Shreevats ji. Ashita, I'll hand it over to you. There were some questions coming up. I'm sure you can have a question or session with Shreevats ji now.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Vineet, for taking us through that. It shows that it's been an interesting journey so far. And of course, a lot to come now. So, while you were giving this presentation, there were some questions that came to my mind. So I'll pose that to Shreevats that, as a parent or as a consumer, when we look into schools, in today's time, we feel that, sometimes teachers, are not able to cope up with, what they are supposed to give to the kids, because kids are very exposed today. So how do you manage this professional development and, help them integrate technology in the classrooms? Because we understand that they have tools, but they also have to have skills for that. So how do you manage that in your schools?
I think excellent question, Ashita. And this is the fundamental basis why we started school franchising. Typically in India, we've seen, and I feel personally that we expect too much from our teachers in terms of being able to innovate pedagogically as well as teach classes as well as do assessments and so on. And that's sort of an unrealistic expectation which forces teachers to focus on teaching and assessment rather than on pedagogical innovation. So what we've done at Jaipuria is, created a very strong central team that is doing most of this pedagogical innovation, training, as well as support, and providing this material to our teachers in a very usable format so that they can easily implement the best of what is going on across the world. So we've actually divided up the work of looking at new technologies, looking at new teaching techniques, and then delivering them as two separate verticals within this. And I think we're one of the few groups that has that sort of strong innovation team in terms of teaching pedagogies and technology as well.
Okay, and then training is ongoing. Do you keep doing that with teachers through the year?
Yes, so we have a formal training calendar as well, which includes common training across schools divided by grades as well as subjects. And then we have on-site training for each school, as well as an audit for each school that takes place. So those are the three events that are, in a sense, calendared in already. But other than that, we have ongoing trainings. We have a support group. Most teachers are on a WhatsApp group with our academic team. And I think this has really brought us fruit in this sort of COVID scenario, because so much adaptability was required here, and really all the hard work that we were doing for so many years. In this sort of tough times, we've been able to showcase how really we are different and able to deliver online learning in this context, in this tough scenario. And not only have students appreciated it, but because now learning is happening at home and parents also have a window of what is going on, these sort of horrible and tough times, I view it as an opportunity where at Jaipuria we've been able to showcase what different we are doing inside a classroom.
Sure, that's great. So do you also, I'm sure, there's some teachers who would be younger, who would be more adaptable, but there are some teachers who are very old, but at the same time very experienced. So how do you make a blend of that? Because, I was talking to Dr. Anuj Kakar last week, who's the chairman of AppTech. So he pointed out, very interesting thing for me is that EdTech, in EdTech, the education comes first. So we cannot downsize the experience of teachers that they have with kids earlier. So maybe the methodology has changed, but ultimately the experience makes them much worse with kids and much better. So how do you keep a balance in both?
So we strongly believe that the teacher-student relationship is a key to learning, and especially in a modern world, the idea of developing human relationships are the key to success. So it's about training our teachers, and I don't view technology at any point as a replacement of a teacher in any context. Technology is a tool that we have to train and help teachers to adapt to and use to their advantage. Even if you look at online learning and the way we did online learning, we were very against, sending videos that were recorded by somebody else. So even in online learning, we want our teachers to be at the forefront of that learning process, and that relationship not to become on pause just because learning is happening at home.
Sure. So today, do you feel, with all these resources and tools that you give to the teachers, since the number of tools which are available online also, resources to teach, do you feel that as a hindrance, or do you feel that adds to the teaching process that you do with kids?
So I think, there's some sort of information overload, and the way we work is how can we work as a team to understand that in each context, what sort of technology, what sort of tool is applicable. Because, I think the risk I see is that everyone wants to see a cookie cutter model where you see, just because school A is doing this, we should also do this, or just because school B is doing it, or within a school even, what a different technology might work for different grades, different subjects. So the way we've been working is in a very collaborative way, where we are asking teachers to generate ideas. If you look at the technologies today, we are talking on Zoom, which is synchronous, which is used for live classrooms. There's Google Hangout, there's MS Teams, but even in areas, in smaller cities where the bandwidth availability is low, we've used WhatsApp very effectively for sending videos. So it's about understanding the context, about understanding our stakeholders, both in terms of teachers as well as students and parents, and being able to deliver the correct technology through the correct technology, and also pedagogically correctly. It's not only about using the right technology, but how do I structure my lesson? How do I plan my academic calendar, given that teaching is going to happen online? How do I hold the attention of my students? So it's not only about, which technology did you use, but actually a lot of adaptation of teaching pedagogy is also necessary to make online teaching learning a success.
Sure, true. Very, very interesting point there. Now, coming to some of the franchising questions, since during these COVID times, we see that a lot of schools like yourself have taken an initiative of talking to kids or delivering them material, which is through a distance learning program or through videos. The few schools which are not so equipped for that, and they're existing. So do you see conversion franchising happening, and as a group, do you promote it? And also, do you have any franchisees that have been formed on conversion franchising? एक और बात, मैं conversion franchising आपको बता दूं, because एक सवाल था उसके ऊपर. Conversion franchising का मतलब होता है कि अगर आपका existing school है कोई, और आप उसको जयपुरिया के नाम पे convert करना चाहते हैं, तो this is conversion franchising. So, Shreevats wanted to understand from you on that.
So yes, we have in the past and currently also looking at opportunities where people want to convert. So, there are two aspects to your question. One is that in smaller cities, is it possible to deliver online? And for us, the resounding answer to that is yes. We are in cities which are not even district headquarters, where the population is less than 100,000. And even there, based on our parent feedback, parents have rated an online learning satisfaction of more than 4 on a 5-point scale, and we have that data with us. So it's possible, yes. And so you should not believe, if you run a school presently in a small city, that online learning is not for us. Today, technologies exist that will also require low bandwidth, and even multiple students can use one smartphone at home. So if you partner or want to partner with us, really the way we can help you is help you think through what should work in your city and provide you the SOPs for that relevant way of doing things in terms of teaching learning.
Okay. और क्या आप अपने स्कूल के फ्रेंचाइजीज को अलाउ करते हैं कि वो किसी और कोचिंग कंपनीज के साथ टाई अप करें, या उनसे आपको पहले परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी, या आप टाई अप करेंगे उनसे सेंट्रली so that ये सब schools में आ सके, particularly on coaching or say something like a robotics जो आजकल के बच्चे सीखना चाहते हैं? Is there anything?
So we have many tie-ups that we provide to our franchisees, including robotics, including virtual reality, including we've just tied up with Step App, which is developing math and science. We've tied up with a company called Tinkerly, which is also doing some science experimentation. So we provide multiple tie-ups already as part of our offering. But in addition to that, if somebody has an idea that for any particular reason they want to tie up with somebody who's probably locally strong, we would be always open to having those discussions. I think the idea of our franchising opportunity is that we're very open and adaptive in terms of the context of that is required at your particular school. We view each school as an entity in its own, which may have its own needs and contexts.
Okay, so now Aditya, that's your answer, and I think it's brilliantly answered. And there's one more question from the lady that she's asking, Sarthak Sundi. Are you open for franchising at a national scale, or are you looking at franchising only in a phased manner or in a geographical manner?
No, so we are open at a national scale. Presently, we already have franchisees in 3 states. That's UP, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh. So we are open to expand our franchise initiatives nationally across states, across cities and towns.
So do you feel there's any problem that comes in terms of, boards? Because we have different boards available with us. So do you see any problem there in an expansion at a national scale?
No, so presently we are supporting only national boards in that sense. Yeah. So I don't know if that was the first question, but we are supporting schools of national boards, which is CBSE and ICSC.
Okay.
We are not presently working with setting up franchises of state board schools.
Okay. So do you help them? So say, for example, do you make customized efforts for schools also? So like there was a news yesterday that all the schools in Maharashtra would have Marathi compulsory till 10th. I'm sure the other states would not have it. So is your curriculum open for that? And what percentage of customization you keep for such things overall?
Yes, for sure. So, even if you look at class 9 to 12, the subject streams in various schools may be different. If you look at languages, there's usually a course A, course B. And if a particular school in a given context wants to pick a particular subject, whether it's Marathi in Maharashtra or Gujarati in Gujarat, we would support that school and that subject pedagogically as well.
Okay, that's interesting. And so coming to a few more questions about franchising. Now, when we talk about teachers, do you help them hire teachers also? Say, for example, we already have, so our school is equipped and it has started. So the first set of training and support from your side has happened. But during the time when I'm, say as a franchisee owning a franchise and the teacher leaves, so do you help me recruit a teacher and then train them? Or how does it happen?
Absolutely. So I think this is a big strength of ours. In terms of teacher recruitment. We have a huge database of teachers. We have a recruitment team in-house. So you could call our central team and say that I need a Hindi teacher for class 9 or a science teacher for class 11. Can you provide me resumes? And we provide it. Usually the principal of that particular school would do the first kind of shortlisting, but our people would be on the panel as well. And I think this is exceedingly important. Once they come in, we have an Jaipuria induction, so they can have a call, or we would send them videos as well as texts of how Jaipuria curriculum is to be transacted. So for every class, every topic, we have lesson plans. So I think the most important thing is, when you talk about a school and the success of a school, is that a student who has come from another school to a Jaipuria school should see that there's some difference happening within the classroom, the way that is being taught. And here sometimes is that if a teacher comes from another school and the student comes from another school, are we able to change that? And that's really where we come in and say, even though the teachers taught in certain way outside, this is the way a Jaipuria teacher should be teaching. And we make that really easy and understandable for a teacher to understand and then transact within the classroom.
Sure. That's interesting. And on so there's a query there that do you make assessments on formative basis, or it's the assessment like in old age that it used to happen?
So both. There are sets of formative assessments as well as summative assessments. We really believe that formative assessments are as important as summative assessments because they are assessments for learning rather than of learning. So assessment should be a tool for learning rather than only of learning. This is especially true at younger ages. Maybe there are some parents on the webinar. We should not view exams as a test of learning, but we should view exams as a tool for making the child learn. Because this is how learning takes place throughout life. I think our whole concept at Jaipuria is that how can we try to give students an experience that they would use throughout their lives, and not a school experience that is very different from how life in general is going to be.
True. Yeah, makes sense. So that's a good motto, that it's for the kids that they need to learn and adapt and practice, not just for marks. So please note that. Okay, and do you help a local school in marketing themselves at a local level? I'm sure you would be doing that at a national scale, but how do you mitigate that in a state or in a city where you have a cluster?
So again, our marketing team would go to every particular school location and come up with a plan for that particular city or for within a for that locality if it's in a large city. So we would use our national local collaterals as a base, our brochures as a base, and then create a plan for that particular school. So that would include some sort of ATL or advertising activities like newspaper ads, hoardings, etc. But it would also include coming up with a plan for many BTL activities in terms of doing, parent engagements in the school premises, getting footfalls into the school, and showing parents or potential parents what Jaipuria is really about. So our team would particularly sit and plan. We would also train, the counselors or the admissions people that are there at a particular school.
Okay. Interesting. There's one more thing extended to the training that Zahir wants to know. That is there any periodicity that you follow to come to the campuses of franchisees to train them, or is there any sudden thing that you do for them? Is there any mystery checks that you keep on them?
Sure. So in practicality, I'd like to say that every month or at least every couple of months, somebody from some team will be at the site physically. That is the way we work. We work by, treating those schools at par as our partner schools, not only as, a commitment of what is done on paper. But other than that, there is a calendar as well. So once a year, there's an academic on-site training. Once a year, there's a non-academic on-site training. There is academic and non-academic audit once a year. And then there is an off-site training where teachers come usually based on subject and based on what grades they are teaching. So that is a 6-7 day training where teachers would come in for 2 or 3 days based on what subjects and what classes they are teaching. So that is calendared in. But other than that, if you have an issue, if you feel an extra training is required in case there's been, some fresh teachers coming in as admissions have risen and so on, we are almost always available to support that because we really view our schools as our partners and our own schools.
Yeah. Okay, great. And in the end, the two final things what I wanted to understand is that education certainly is an evergreen patch that's not going to go anywhere, and particularly in higher secondary education, which is still K12. How do you see this opportunity growing if, as a franchisee, they look forward to invest into this business?
So I think, even if you look at the example of the past few months when the economy has been severely disrupted, not only in India, but across the world, even though schools have been disrupted in the sense that we have moved classes online, we have been able to continue to transact classes and provide services to our students and parents. So if you owned a factory or a shop, in the sense you lost business, in the sense of a school, yes, you might not have been able to collect full fee, but you've transacted and provided value to your customers and students, and you will be able to, sort of make up on that lost time rather than in any sort of other conventional business. So really now that people are looking at businesses that would get us over these sort of turbulent times, I think education is going to be a key driver, especially primary and secondary education, which is so essential to each and every one of us.
Yeah, great. So that's a good takeaway for education business franchising. And is there anything that you say? I understand that K12s, having said that, you promote holistic education. You're very sensitive towards kids, how they are learning, which is very interesting, and you give a lot of emphasis on training teachers, and you help franchisees in training, which is continuous, and support them. Marketing is something which also has been taken up by corporate office. How do you see in comparison to this franchise opportunity in comparison to other schools which are available?
I honestly don't like to compare. I think you, as a person who's evaluating schools, they should meet as many schools as possible and see what works for them. And I don't want to talk about anybody else. But for sure, for us, the way we are different is that we are very 360 degree and supportive and in terms of the level of service we provide. I think that is unparalleled in the entire space of K12 franchising in India. That's my view. We view our franchisees not as franchisees, but as partners. That's the language we use internally and externally as well. And I think that's, I believe, the reason that we've been successful and have grown to 30,000 students over the last 7 or 8 years that we've been in this.
Okay, great. That's a very interesting takeaway. So, that's a very interesting session, guys. Thank you so much. And for our listeners, anybody who's interested in the opportunity of education, you have to understand that investing in education will not erode. It would always look forward to multiply. It might take a little longer in comparison to other franchise opportunities in terms of your payback period, but it's worth investing into such a category which is everlasting. So if in case you're interested in the franchise opportunity, you can contact us. You can follow us on any of our links that you see on the screen. You can even write to us and we would help you connect. And any questions that you have, you can even post it and we can get you answered those questions from Jaipuria itself. So Shreevats, would you be happy to answer all our queries? So we can send you those queries and would look forward to do those answers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Shreevats, and thank you so much, Vineet. It was lovely having you here, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.